Alright, number 10, The Lobbyist. It's no secret that Tom Cruise thought his latest movie, maybe wasn't going to be as successful as he wanted it to be. Now, we're not exactly sure what his box office goals were, numbers wise, but we're getting pretty niche here with the 7th movie in a franchise. First came out in 1996. Listen, Tom, you are not Star Wars. We can't keep doing this. He definitely didn't stray away because Cruz lobbied top Hollywood executives over a phone call saying he really wanted to promote his film despite all the strikes going on with actors, writers, and stunt doubles. And I think there might be some greater issues at hand here. I haven't really been seeing much promo for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 anyway, so maybe things will be different in 2024 when Part 2 comes out. And yes, it will be the 8th Mission Impossible, and yes, it's said to be the last one, but I have a feeling Mr. Cruz won't be able to let go of the franchise. That just, keeps him living in luxury. Up at number 9 is Short-Tempered. Now remember that shaky video footage of Tom Cruise that leaked, he was losing it on set. It was the peak of the pandemic and We Are the Gold Standard was born. In a rant of fury, Cruz noticed some of the crew were not following the rules. They were standing a little too close together, so instead of a normal conversation, he began shouting and swearing at a group of people in the video. You can kind of hear him say, "If I see you do it again, you're effing done." And the rest of his sentence is plagued with many more F-bombs, and he just kind of sounded like he was disciplining a bunch of high schoolers and not adults. He continued with, "We are the gold standard." Like, what does that even mean? Because those working conditions did not look gold standard at all. Alright, at number 8, we have talk show antics. Ah yes, the moment that will follow Tom Cruise to the grave. He probably regrets it, but it certainly made the world question the sanity of the famous actor. It was 2005 and Cruz had just gotten engaged to now ex-wife Katie Holmes, a fellow actor, and it's great to talk about loved ones, on shows to whoever, but it was Cruz's physical behavior that would lead to Oprah calling him her worst guest ever. Now, back then Cruz, he still had female fans because his antics, that was just starting to come to the surface. The strangest thing about this interview though, that made history, was just how much contact there was, physically between Oprah and Cruz. I mean, it looked like they could have been a couple. Cruz had been constantly, reaching over to touch or wrestle the host, and I don't know. He then began jumping up and down on the couch and just acting very erratic, something, we'd never seen him do before. Overall, it was an odd display that was, a whirlwind act, because we know, of course, Tom and Katie were never meant to be when they separated after 7 years together. Number 7, the micromanaging lover. Tom Cruise was said to be a much more controlling romantic partner than we thought, but it really explains why Katie Holmes felt like she had to save her daughter Suri from him. But the story goes that Cruise was very controlling of his girlfriends and wives, and it was the very thing that would make them try and, leave the relationship. When he was with Katie, he controlled when she could see her family and exactly what she was doing pretty much at all times. He was said to monitor her around the clock, and she wasn't really the first. Now, his other ex-wife, Nicole, he did leave her, but Nicole Kidman had suffered, a similar fate. She wasn't allowed to wear high heels when she was with him on the red carpet and whatnot because he didn't like that Kidman was taller than him. She expressed her joy of being able to, wear what she wanted after the divorce, and of course, looked thrilled in the photos of her coming out of finalizing the divorce. Next is number 6, the invisible parent. Tom Cruise is nowhere near being as involved with his kids as their mothers, which, some might say is expected of a father, but the reason he hasn't seen his daughter Suri in more than a decade is pretty terrifying. Now, if you know anything about the religious cult Cruz is involved in, well, you might know about all the terrible things they've experienced, such as a high number of people taking their own lives and the massive mistreatment of both men and women, but especially women. And I'm sure Suri's mother, Katie Holmes, caught on to this, a little too late, but just in time to create a new normal life for her daughter. Oh, and I also had no idea Tom had actually adopted a son and daughter with Nicole Kidman because he never talks about them. Interesting. And moving along to number 5, Bryce divorced. Yes, the courageous actor has tied the knot with 3 separate women and has been in casual dating scenes since his most recent divorce, which was to Miss Holmes. His first wife, Mimi Rogers, was actually the one that got him into the religion that he practices today and has landed him in some hot water. Now, there's of course nothing nothing wrong with getting divorced. But if you never learn your lesson and keep ruining people's lives with your rigid beliefs, well, that's another story. While he was married to Rogers in 1990, he explained one day, suddenly, that he wanted to become a celibate monk. He, of course, never ended up doing this, but hey, it was a pretty good excuse to make your wife want to leave you. Let's move on to number 4, no female fans. So back in the day when he starred in the original Top Gun and, a few years later, War of the Worlds, Cruz still had many fans who were women and just, adored him. But when he started going against famous women who, they also adored, well, things got a little messy. For one, Cruz came for actress and model Brooke Shields for using antidepressants. He said it was irresponsible, which is quite the opposite of the truth. And in an interview, he claimed to know the history of psychology to back up his point, and, he then later had to apologize for his hurtful words because he realized, people were offended. He also acted rude and arrogant towards the women sailors that helped with the production of Top Gun Maverick. He then forced top-ranking army officers to, come out and say that these women simply misinterpreted instructions. Yeah, for sure. Up next is number 3, the Paramount Brawl. In 2006, Paramount, the studios responsible for Cruz's Mission Impossible movies, had announced they would be fully cutting ties with the actor based on his behavior outside of the movie set. They said he was basically taking his and the company's positive reputation away by acting crazy on Oprah and expressing some pretty extreme views. So Paramount came out with a statement saying, quote, "His recent conduct has not been acceptable to Paramount. He had never behaved like this before. He really went over the top." Well, the truth was, he was losing them lots of money, and his popularity rating went down by 40% just from 2005 to 2006 alone. Now, would you have sided with Cruz or Paramount? And at number 2, we have Too Much Power. You've heard of some of the highest paid actors in recent years, and Cruz has been one of them, but many have been raising the suspicion that the actor is being overpaid and given too much power in certain circumstances. And yes, Cruz has gotten away with a lot of crazy things. In 2022, Cruz was making more than Will Smith, Leonardo DiCaprio, Dwayne Johnson, and all of his fellow male Hollywood megastars. But many began to question the need for the $100 million in 1 year and an estimated $1 billion in revenue over his entire career. Now, unfortunately, he's actually put a lot of this money into the infamous church he's a part of, $25 million to be exact, and he's not as keen on giving to the less fortunate, with charitable donations tallying up to about $5,000 per donation. And at number 1 is converting the Beckhams. Tom Cruise once attempted to convert the Beckham family parents, David and Victoria, to his high-profit and controversial religion. Victoria and David Beckham are royals in the sports and fashion industries, but they were almost religious moguls in the world of the ultra-rich when Cruz made an attempt to lure them to the dark side. In 2007, it was common to see the famous couple out and about with Tom Cruise. Apparently, Cruz wanted David in the club so bad, he had a soccer field built on the premises of headquarters to woo Beckham into, joining him, but he still denied the offer. Yikes.
At number 10, Kim's nannies. Kim Kardashian is arguably the most famous of the Kardashian sisters and also seems to be the busiest. For example, Kim has 4 kids, a skincare line, her Skims brand, she's attending law school, co-founded an equity team, and recently even hopped on the podcast train. And that's all on top of filming their new reality show on Hulu. You may be asking yourself, how does one woman do all that by herself? She pays people to do it for her, duh. Kardashian has multiple assistants and nannies to help her stay above the overwhelming workload, but has been known to treat them as lesser than her. For instance, on several occasions, Kim and her daughter North would go to lunch accompanied by their nanny, but Kim made her not only sit at a separate table away from them at the restaurant, known to make her nannies walk at least 10 feet away from her at all times. If they walk near her or attempt to walk side by side, apparently she blows up on them behind closed doors. Needless to say, she has had many nannies over the years and has probably made them all cry at least once. At number 9, Kourtney in general. While Kim may not be the best boss in the world, it's Kourtney who's known as the absolute worst boss of all time. According to former nannies, Kourtney was by far the worst Kardashian to work for. Not only is she a neat freak, needing every single thing to be exactly where it should should be, she's also known for being surprisingly cheap, even once calling a different grocery store while she was shopping to compare the price of a chicken breast, because if anyone needs that extra 99 cents, it's Kourtney. But this isn't the worst thing she's done. One time, Kourtney's daughter had bitten a nanny so hard that she had to quit, but instead of letting it go and taking responsibility for not teaching her daughter how to treat people, she berated the nanny, telling her she should have said something to her daughter in the moment. Because it makes sense to blame the woman you're paying to raise your kid instead of the kid herself to prevent future incidents. At number 8, toxic chemicals. Kylie Jenner is the youngest of the Kardashian clan and is extremely successful for her age. In 2019, she made the cover of Forbes magazine as the youngest self-made billionaire, following the successful partnership between her cosmetic brand and Ulta Beauty. I'm not sure Forbes knows what self-made means, but this collaboration would allow Jenner's brand, previously only available online and at pop-up stores, to be placed on shelves in Ulta's 1,000+ stores. This is unfortunate considering the true nature of just where those products come from. Many employees at the factory that mixed and packaged her makeup and beauty products have been reported that they were never given proper safety equipment that one would require to do that job. They were only given hairnets, lab coats, and safety goggles, leaving their hands and face completely exposed. Workers would regularly report migraines and mild chemical burns on their hands. I know they say beauty is pain, but I don't think this is what they meant. At number 7, Victoria. Victoria Valero has been Kylie Jenner's close personal assistant since 2015, but the pair go back to 2014 when Valero was interning as a personal assistant for Kris Jenner. After gaining the family's trust, she was hired as Kylie's house manager and soon after became her personal assistant. Victoria and Jenner became very close over the years, and she was even present at the secret birth of Kylie's daughter Stormi. You would think with being so close to the family, it would be through thick and thin, right? Well, all good things must come to an end as Victoria quit in 2019. Many fans allege that she had quit to focus on becoming an Instagram influencer, but that was far from her real reason for leaving. Being around that family means seeing a lot of stuff and doing a lot of stuff. Victoria was basically in charge of scheduling Kylie's life. Booking appointments, meetings, massages, all of this is stressful enough, basically being a 24/7 gig, but the job was also very degrading, with Kylie even having Victoria pull out a stool and set it up outside so that Kylie could get out of her car smoother. I think anyone in their right mind would want to get out of that job as soon as possible. At number 6, GoFundMe. In March 2021, Kylie shared an Instagram post asking for prayers for one of her makeup artists, Samuel Rhoda, with the post redirecting fans to a GoFundMe page where they were asked to donate money to cover his medical bills for an upcoming surgery. That's right, the woman who got a feature on Forbes' top 60 self-made women list was asking her fans to donate some of their money. Why would Kylie herself not just use some of her billions of dollars to cover the bills? Well, she went online to claim that her and Sam didn't know each other on a personal level. She had worked with him a few years prior and thought he was a sweetheart. Supposedly, her current makeup artist had shared a post about Samuel's accident, which included a link to a GoFundMe campaign created by his family. She went on to let fans know that she herself donated $5,000. Okay, sure, that's a ton of money to most of us, but for Jenner, that's like $5. Something tells me the surgery would be a lot more than that. This is just another instance proving Kylie is the worst, because I know she would drop more than that on a purse. At number 5, the lawsuit. In March of 2021, a lawsuit was arranged by several of Kim's former employees. The plaintiffs claimed that Kardashian failed to pay them overtime, cover expenses, and provide legally mandated breaks. The employees also never received actual pay stubs or any proof of payment whatsoever. They were also made to purchase everything out of pocket, and one plaintiff was even fired on the spot for simply addressing his concerns to Kim. Then, when the rest were eventually let go, they received no type of severance package or pay of any kind. It was also uncovered that Kim would keep 10% of all their earnings for tax purposes, but failed to report their employment to tax authorities. Kim argued that she couldn't be held responsible because most of her employees were apparently hired and paid through third-party companies, meaning Kim herself was technically not their direct employer and therefore cannot be liable. Kim maintains that she paid people on time and that they were suing the wrong person, but if that were the case, Kardashian would have used her high status and influence long ago to make things work for her staff, and maybe she wouldn't have gotten sued by them. At number 4, Kim and Kanye. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West started dating in 2012 and were officially married in 2014. During their marriage, life was rocky to say the least. While Kim was fairly tame for the most part, as we all know, Kanye's mental health was slowly slipping. He began posting hate speech and racially fueled tweets, as well as constantly sharing his political views and publicly backing Donald Trump. Is it really any surprise that Kim found comfort in another man's arms? While hosting SNL in 2021, Kim met Pete Davidson, women while still married to Kanye. We'll cover their side in another entry. Kanye discovered that Kim and Pete began dating following the live show and seemed to be the final breaking point. Apparently, only a few months before the show, Ye and Kim were constantly arguing about everything. Following their divorce, Kim revealed that she would constantly try to help Ye understand why his views and words were wrong. She wanted him to get better, but instead he doubled down and filed for a divorce. Kim is now happily single and received joint custody of her 4 kids, so it's a win-win for the Kardashian clan and for Kanye. At number 3, they don't pay. While the Kardashians have had their problems with staff individually, there seems to be one specifically toxic trait the family shares as a unit. They don't pay people. Former employees have come forward over the years calling out the family for not paying them fair wages and no overtime hours. The Kardashians don't cover expenses including gas, food, rent. Everything is out of the employee's pocket with zero money coming back. To make matters worse, the Kardashians would not pay them on set paydays, meaning you just got paid when you got paid and had to deal with it. You would think with the family being one of the richest in the world that they would at least pay the people that help run their lives. While they have a massive staff of people cooking their food, folding their clothes, and raising their children, they barely even acknowledge their existence. Just imagine what would happen if the staff decided to walk out. The family would crumble in less than a day. At number 2, paid in exposure. When Andre Turbia, famous YouTube animator and content creator, was asked to work with Kylie Jenner, he thought that his life would change forever. He was under the impression that the collaboration would grant him a huge amount of money, possibly a guest spot on a reality show, and maybe some shoutouts online via Instagram and Twitter. However, when Andre brought up the topic of his compensation to Jenner, she responded with, "The company doesn't really have a budget right now, so we're going to have to pay you in exposure." Like, hey, that's cool, but you can't cook exposure in a frying pan and eat it for dinner, nor is it a currency accepted at most gas stations or banks. And by exposure, she meant Andre's name being in a small print underneath her content. Andre did what anyone in their right mind would do in that situation and refused to work with her, telling her to take that exposure and shove it where the sun don't shine. And at number 1, lied about their wealth. Oh, not enough proof for ya? Well, here you go. As mentioned earlier in this list, Kylie Jenner made the cover of Forbes magazine in 2019 as the youngest self-made billionaire, following the successful partnership between her cosmetic brand and Ulta Beauty. Well, it turns out that wasn't really the case. Jenner allegedly sold half of her company, Kylie Cosmetics, to beauty giant Coty in a deal worth $1.2 billion. This was huge and considered one of the greatest celebrity cash outs of all time. But the first rule of being a famous person is, if you can help it, try not to lie. Especially to Forbes magazine, who did some digging and revealed that Jenner was actually inflating the size and profit margins of her business. It turns out the cosmetic brand was on a much smaller scale than originally thought. As it was uncovered, Jenner only actually made around $314 million after taxes for the company. Several financial advisors backed up the story, claiming that they were berated into complying with the lie and made to help maintain the numbers for the public. Mother of the family, Chris, even played a key role in gathering false business documents to send to Forbes, making her company appear to be in the billions. Remember, if you can't figure something out, just ask mom.
While Oprah has certainly accomplished much in her career, like all of us, she is not without her flaws and controversies. So grab your popcorn and sit back and enjoy us as we explore the less known side of Oprah Winfrey's journey. Starting off with objectifying Cindy Crawford. Oprah Winfrey, the queen of talk shows, found herself in the middle of controversy for asking supermodel Cindy Crawford to stand up during an interview to show her body. It happened on the Oprah Winfrey Show, a platform known for its profound conversations. Oprah, always a straight shooter, asked Cindy to stand, catching the supermodel slightly off guard. There was a mix of reactions, with some viewers thinking it was completely normal given Cindy's status as a world-renowned supermodel, while others saw it as somewhat objectifying. In hindsight, the controversy invites a conversation about body image, respect, and the way we view celebrities. It's important to remember that even as we appreciate the beauty and talent of individuals, we should always strive to respect their comfort and consent. So what's your opinion on this controversial moment? Do you think Oprah was out of line, or was it just an innocent request in the context of the interview? Be sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments section. Reflecting on the encounter 37 years later on Apple TV's The Supermodels, Cindy said, "I was like the chattel or a child, be seen and not heard." As an iconic supermodel who has graced countless magazine covers, walked down hundreds of runways, and fronted successful advertising campaigns, Cindy Crawford is not one to shy away from the fashion industry's dark side. In the latest Apple TV docuseries, she opens up about her early days as a model in New York City and how she felt pressured to conform to unrealistic beauty standards. Next, asking Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen what clothing size they wore. When Mary Mary-Kate and Ashley appeared on the show in 2004, Oprah brought up rumors that they had eating disorders. After the 18-year-olds told her they tried not to read the good or the bad things people wrote about them, she asked what clothing sizes they wore. This just goes to show how early body image issues can start for young girls in the entertainment industry. Being in the spotlight at such a young age can lead to a warped perception of what is considered normal or acceptable. As they say, beauty comes in all shapes and sizes, but unfortunately, that message isn't always portrayed in Hollywood. The pressure to maintain a certain weight and appearance in the public eye can also lead to unhealthy behaviors and lifestyle choices. Eating disorders are a serious issue that can have long-lasting effects on an individual's physical and mental health. It's important for young girls in the entertainment industry to have a strong support system and to prioritize their health over societal expectations. But it's not just celebrities who face this pressure. With the rise of social media, everyone is now under constant scrutiny when it comes to their appearance. Asking Nathan Lane about his sexuality. During an interview with Oprah, the issue of Nathan's sexuality was raised given his role as an openly gay character in the movie. Being a private person, Nathan wasn't prepared to delve into this topic publicly at the time, but displaying his quick wit and camaraderie, Robin smoothly diverted the conversation by cracking a lighthearted joke. During the talk show, Robin showed his support for Nathan's character and shared how important representation is in the entertainment industry. He expressed his admiration for Nathan's talent as an actor and praised him for being brave enough to take on such a role. It was quick thinking on Robin's part, but this just goes to show the ignorance in Oprah's interview style. In a 2023 episode of Sunday Sit Down, Nathan expressed his feelings about his encounter with Oprah. He said, "I don't think Oprah was trying to out me, but I said to Robin beforehand, I'm not prepared. I'm so scared of going out there and talking to Oprah. I'm not prepared to discuss that I'm gay on national television. I'm not ready." And Robin said, "Oh, it's all right. Don't worry about it. We don't have to talk about it. We won't talk about it." Rest in peace, Robin Williams. The issue of representation in the entertainment industry is one that has been gaining more and more attention over the years. It's obvious that there is a need for diversity and inclusivity on screen. This also extends to the LGBTQ+ community, where representation has often been lacking or stereotyped. However, with the increasing demand for more diverse and authentic storytelling, we are seeing a positive change in the industry. Drew Brees' awkward moment. During a 2010 appearance on her show, Oprah made an amusing error when she encountered NFL quarterback Drew Brees. Oprah tried to wipe away a smudge on Drew Brees' face, thinking it was a lipstick stain, but oh wait, there's no lipstick. It's Brees' birthmark. Talk about a live TV moment. Brees handled the situation with grace and explained it to Oprah, who seemed genuinely surprised and quickly moved on with the interview. Personally, I think she shouldn't have even touched him without permission, but we can see this trend already where Oprah doesn't seem to have boundaries when it comes to the guests on her show. However, this incident highlights a bigger issue in our society, the pressure to conform to certain beauty standards. Brees' birthmark is a natural and unique part of his appearance, yet Oprah's immediate reaction was to try and remove it as if it were an imperfection. It's important for us all to learn from this mistake and recognize that everyone is beautiful in their own way, birthmarks and all. We should celebrate our differences and embrace them instead of trying to hide or change them. This also extends to other aspects of our appearance, such as skin color, body shape, and hair texture. Society often puts pressure on individuals to fit into a narrow definition of beauty, causing self-consciousness and insecurities. Prying on Elizabeth Taylor's life. In a classic moment from 1988, Elizabeth Taylor expertly sidestepped Oprah's probing questions regarding her rumored love interests. This amusing interaction saw Oprah playfully chiding Elizabeth for her evasive answers. But this moment also shed light on the many issues celebrities face, the constant scrutiny of their personal lives and relationships. As public figures, they are often subject to intense media attention and speculation surrounding their romantic partners. This intense focus on their love lives can take a toll on both their mental health and relationships. Many celebrities have spoken out about feeling like they constantly have to defend and explain their relationships to the public. This can lead to feelings of pressure, invasion of privacy, and even relationship strain. But celebrities aren't the only ones affected by this constant scrutiny. It also affects their partners, who often have to deal with being thrust into the spotlight without consent or choice. This lack of privacy can make it difficult for their partners to maintain a sense of normalcy and can strain the relationship. When Oprah and Elizabeth Taylor had playful banter about dating rumors surrounding the actress, Oprah was insistent on getting a straight answer from her guest, but Elizabeth playfully dodged her questions and kept the conversation lighthearted. This exchange between two powerful women in entertainment sheds light on the pressure celebrities face to constantly address things that's going on in their lives. It is a little exhausting, and I probably would hate that too. But despite their celebrity status, these women were able to have a playful and genuine interaction, showcasing the power of strong female friendships. Now on to the next. This might be one of the worst ones I've seen. Asking Michael Jackson invasive questions. In 1993, Oprah asked Michael Jackson if he was a virgin, then pressured him to answer when he tried to skirt around it. This moment on the Oprah Winfrey Show sparked controversy and backlash, as many viewers felt it was inappropriate to pry into the personal life of a celebrity. It also shed light on the double standards and intrusive nature of media interviews. The controversy surrounding Oprah's question to Michael Jackson illuminated the intrusive dynamics often present in celebrity interviews. Public figures, while certainly subjected to media scrutiny, still possess a right to personal privacy. This incident drew criticism as it seemed to cross boundaries of personal decency, delving into a topic that many believed should be considered private even for a public figure. The backlash demonstrated a growing public awareness and rejection of such invasive media tactics, thus further fueling discussions about the ethics of celebrity journalism. As an influential and popular talk show host, Oprah had a significant platform and could easily manipulate the direction of the conversation. Michael Jackson, on the other hand, was a guest on her show and may have felt compelled to answer personal questions in order to maintain a positive image or not offend his host. This power dynamic further highlighted the problematic nature of this particular interview and other similar incidents in the media. Inappropriate interview in front of kids. The Turtles were on stage, surrounded by a sea of ecstatic kids. Then Oprah, in her inimitable style, decided to stir the pot. She asked the Turtles a relationship question about their human friend April O'Neil, a relationship question to a bunch of mutant turtles in front of an audience of children. But let's get back to that question from Oprah. Why did she think it was acceptable to ask that in front of an audience filled with kids? Sounds irresponsible to me. Let's take a closer look at the situation. On one hand, it could be argued that Oprah was simply trying to have some fun and engage with the audience by asking a lighthearted question. After all, the turtles are fictional characters and therefore not subject to the same societal norms as real humans. On the other hand, we can see why some might find it inappropriate. The turtles are portrayed as young, impressionable heroes who are meant to be role models for children. Asking about their romantic relationships could potentially send mixed messages to young viewers. On to the next, asking Dolly Parton what she's gotten done. The legendary Dolly Parton, an icon known for her country music and vibrant persona, was a guest on the Oprah Winfrey Show. The interview was sailing smoothly until Oprah, with her trademark candor, ventured into a topic that celebrities often shy away from: cosmetic surgery. Yeah, you heard it right. Oprah asked Dolly Parton directly about her cosmetic surgeries, which felt a little out of place or even intrusive to some. And how did Dolly respond? With her signature humor and grace, of course. She openly admitted to having numerous surgeries but added a twist to it. Dolly joked that if she had the money to make herself look the way she wanted, why wouldn't she? Her honesty and confidence in her own choices was refreshing and empowering. On to the next, about Brad Pitt's tattoos. A 2008 interview with Brad Pitt and Cate Blanchett on the Oprah Winfrey Show. During the interview, a curious viewer called in to ask Brad about the meaning behind his tattoos, but here's the catch. Brad chose to remain tight-lipped about it. Brad shook his head with a smile. I don't really want to talk about them. Interestingly, Oprah didn't let it go just there. In her trademark style, she turned the question back to the fan, leading to a lively and intriguing conversation, completely disregarding the fact that Brad initially did not want to talk about them. Asking about Bert Reynolds' toupee. In a 2021 episode of Literally with Rob Lowe, Oprah admitted to making a significant error. She recalled asking Sally Field an impertinent question about whether her then partner Bert Reynolds slept with his toupee on. Following this, she described the actor's reaction as becoming distant and unresponsive. In the interview, Oprah shared how she regretted asking such a personal question and how it affected her relationship with Sally Field. This incident serves as a reminder that even influential figures like Oprah can make mistakes and should take responsibility for their actions. It also highlighted the importance of being respectful and considerate in interviews, especially when discussing sensitive or private topics.
And number 10, wardrobe malfunction at the VMAs. At the very first MTV Video Music Awards in 1984, Madonna's stiletto slipped right off her foot during her performance of her song Like a Virgin. Instead of trying to fix it and put it back on, she turned the incident into a horror show. The singer would flip up her dress, and although the malfunction was accidental, her management team was convinced that the bride's splashing of flesh would spark enough outrage to ensure she would never work again. While she was trying to smooth the move, like dive for the shoe and make it look like it was choreographed, it definitely backfired when her dress malfunctioned and she had to slip up. While many people were concerned Madonna's career was over before she even started her career, she would continue on, and with it came some more red flags, and we couldn't ignore them. And number 9, Like a Prayer video. Madonna is no stranger when it comes to controversy, as over the course of her long career, she has frequently pushed boundaries just to stay afloat. One of the biggest scandals involving Madonna is when the singer released her video for her song Like a Prayer back in 1989. Now, Like a Prayer was initially designed to push people's buttons, as Madonna witnesses a crime happen to a white woman by a group of white men. A black man would later intervene to help the woman, but instead he would be arrested for the crime. While Madonna hides in a church, she debates about whether she should come forward as a witness. Later, a statue of a saint in the church resembling the man arrested would come to life, and Madonna would kiss the saint and would begin dancing with the gospel choir in a field of burning crosses before eventually going to the police station to declare the man's innocence. At the time of the music video's release, religious groups were not happy, and Pepsi, who Madonna was actually a spokeswoman for at the time, would drop her from their ads. Hey Peaches, are you enjoying this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And number 8, the coffee table book. If you were in need of a coffee table book back in 1992, then Madonna's book was probably the excellent option for you. Madonna would work with fashion photographer Steven Meisel to produce a pretty controversial book filled with some pretty controversial photos that were shot in various locations such as the Chelsea Hotel. Retailing for around the time at $49.95, the spiral-bound 128-page book featuring Madonna's body and her views on intimacy would have the Vatican urging for its followers to boycott the book, and many bookstores would only put it on display behind the cash register and would only sell to customers who were the age of 18. Years later, her book has become a collector's item that has fetched hundreds of dollars on the resale market. Now, Madonna's book still remains one of the biggest pop culture statements, and it still comes off with a lot of controversy as people still want to know what was going through her head that led her to release it. And number 7, Justify My Love gets booted from MTV. If YouTube existed when Madonna released Justify My Love in 1990, the extremely NSFW music video would have gone viral in minutes, if not seconds. However, because Madonna chose to release such a controversial music video back in the 1990s, it would cause MTV to label the video as unfit for television. The video would then be released as the first ever single VHS format, and it would sell for just under $10. The video would soon become the most top-selling video of all time. The 5-minute video would feature a handful of fantasies and controversial themes, and when ABC Nightlife interviewed Madonna about the controversy, she said she knew the video didn't fit MTV guidelines, but she thought the executives would just bend the rules for her. And number 6, the 20-minute rant on the late night show with David Letterman. Before Madonna became who she is today, she had an iconic potty mouth appearance on the late night show with David Letterman back in 1994. The superstar wandered onto the set looking like a love child and greeted David by calling him the man who has his finger on the pulse of total strangers. Madonna would then go on to swear in the interview, and it would quickly turn inappropriate when Letterman would yell, "Go kiss a guy in the audience." It was clear that the two had some beef prior to the interview, and before the show, Madonna had actually gifted him a pair of her undergarments. And during the interview, she continually asked him to give them a sniff, which was pretty disturbing. The interview was extremely bizarre, and before leaving, she would casually turn to David and say, "Incidentally, you are a sick F." Madonna managed to make him feel really uncomfortable, and her 20-minute long rant was hardly PG at all. And number 5, kisses Britney and Christina at the VMAs. 19 years after Madonna's iconic performance of Like a Virgin at the VMAs, she would take the stage again in 2003, but this time there were 3 brides joining Madonna for a rendition of the track, Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera. Both superstars were trying to break out of their teen idol boxes by proving how they weren't so innocent as they appeared. Madonna, on the other hand, would keep up her tradition of shocking everyone at the VMAs when she decided to help Britney and Christina break their innocent looks. Madonna would go on to give them both the kiss, but made sure to give Britney one steamy one. While Madonna and Britney's kiss received a lot of media attention that they no doubt hoped for, Christina and Madonna's kiss was completely ignored, mainly because when it took place on the cameras, they quickly cut to Justin Timberlake to capture his awkward reaction. Years later, Christina would say the whole thing was just weird. At 4, mounts herself
on a cross. Madonna can't seem to get away from using religious imagery during her concerts and music videos. And you think because the star has received so much backlash over the years that she would just stop and leave it alone. During her Confessions tour in 2006, Madonna took her already criticized religious symbolism to the next level when she performed on a cross while singing live to Tell Additionally. As expected, Madonna's performance would draw huge backlash from religious leaders. Later, she would come out to try to apologize for her actions by saying, "My confession follows and takes place on a crucifix that I ultimately come down from. This is not a mocking of the church." However, this was definitely clear she was mocking the church because she continues to do controversial things to religious imagery, and it just isn't right. 3. Kisses Drake at Coachella. Madonna clearly has a thing for making out with fellow performers on stage, even if that performer is not even half her age. When Madonna chose to live her best life and decided to make out with Drake during their Coachella performance, Drake did not appear happy about Madonna's prolonged smooch on stage, and his overall reaction to the kiss has gone down in our brains as such a hilarious moment. Drake would later head to his Instagram to clarify his reaction by saying, "Don't misinterpret my shock. I got to make out with Queen Madonna and I feel 100% about that forever. Thank you, Madonna." However, his sour face after the encounter says otherwise, and he definitely did not enjoy that kiss whatsoever. And number 2, makes headlines in Puerto Rico. On October 26, 1993, Madonna would soon make headlines after she performed in Puerto Rico and caused a huge stir among the people living there. While performing, Madonna would do the unthinkable, and she decided to take the Puerto Rican flag and rub it in between her legs in front of 26,000 fans. Soon after, protest and criticism against the star would start to rise due to her disrespectful behavior, and then the Puerto Rican House Representatives would then make the decision to charge Madonna with desecration of the flag and would pass a resolution to condemn her. I don't really know what was going through Madonna's head at the time for her even to think this was a good idea, but it was seriously disturbing. So how do you feel about the situation? And let me know in the comments below. And number 1 today, we have claimed she's the master. Madonna has proven to all of us that she's a pro when it comes to Photoshop. When Madonna took it upon herself to Photoshop herself into Beyonce's and Jay-Z's video to replace CR on the walls with her album cover, she would caption the photo at the time as learning from the master, which pretty much said that Jay-Z and Beyonce were learning from her because she was the master. Now, she was definitely trying to poke fun about her 4 decades in the industry. However, when the post met some major controversy, Madonna would then have a change of heart, and then she would delete the word master and would just have learning LOL. But she still got the message she was trying to say across, but I wouldn't exactly say Madonna was the master they were learning from, because it's more like she's learning from them at this point. And number 10, pricey tickets. Now, it's been hard to follow the Ticketmaster scandal since it erupted across social media this past week. However, the ticket prices should have been a huge red flag for any fans before they even tried to purchase the tickets. For those who were able to purchase tickets, they became victims of a dynamic pricing which forced them to pay amounts well above the established ticketing price, even for nosebleed seats. And don't even get me started about the fees, as the fees added up to be more than half the ticket price. This was all before considering the resale, as front row tickets started at $20,000. Now, even resale sites have the ticket prices marked up to tens of thousands of dollars per seat. So it looks like most of us will be listening to Taylor Swift play in the comforts of our car in the parking lot outside of the event, because that seems more reasonable compared to the ticket prices. And number 9, hours online. Fans who tried to score tickets last Tuesday would skip school and work just to spend hours online for the chance to receive tickets, and the tweets that came with it were pretty hilarious to read, with one user writing, "If Chick-fil-A was in charge of the Ticketmaster queue, I would have had Taylor Swift tickets within minutes, just saying." Fans would also even start a movement using Ticketmaster is over party hashtag. Now, such chaos surrounding ticket sales isn't uncommon. However, if you're a fan that decided to skip school and work just to get a verified code so you could purchase tickets, I hope you got your tickets, because school and money is definitely more important than stressing yourself out over a little concert. Hey my peaches, are you enjoying this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And number 8, endless queues. After fans received a verified pre-sale code, thousands would head to Ticketmaster to purchase tickets. However, the horror that would arise when fans hit the site would leave many unhappy. The pre-sale would leave many fans stuck in hour-long queues with more than 2,000 plus people ahead of them trying to grab tickets for the Eras tour, Taylor's first tour in 4 years. The queues were made so Ticketmaster could distinguish who was a bot and who was really buying tickets, and it definitely came with some major flaws. I don't know what's more concerning, the fact that queues were 2,000 people long, or the fact that some of you actually spent 6 to 8 hours waiting in a queue just to grab a ticket. I mean, that's some serious commitment, and some of you weren't even going to meet the singer. So was it worth waiting in these lines, and were you actually able to nab a ticket? If so, let me know in the comments below. Number 7, fans kicked off the queues. So roughly 3.5 million people signed up for the chance to buy Taylor Swift tickets in advance sales. This would make her tour have the largest registration in pop music history. However, later Ticketmaster would say they received more than 3.5 billion system requests to buy the tickets last Tuesday. Anyone looking to grab seats definitely was a little surprised when they had to wait in an hour-long queue. Some fans, just when it was finally their turn to grab a ticket, they were booted out of the system and forced to return to the bottom of the queue, which was filled with even more people. One fan even took to Twitter to say, when you spend 6 hours waiting in a queue and finally get through, only for Ticketmaster to say you haven't signed into your account, even though you are, and then put you back in a queue with 2,000 people ahead of you again. And then some people didn't even make it to the end of the queue before they were kicked off the site and forced to try again multiple times. I'm sorry, but that's some serious commitment just to grab a ticket. And number 6, Ticketmaster canceled sales. The whole process to buy a Taylor Swift ticket became such a huge messy disaster that Ticketmaster would eventually come to the final decision to cancel the public sale for Taylor Swift The Eras tour. The company would cite extraordinarily high demands on ticketing systems and insufficient remaining ticket inventory as the reasons to why they were pulling the plug on general pre-sale early. With the high demands of fans trying to buy tickets, Taylor would have to perform over 900 stadium shows just to meet the demands of people trying to buy tickets. So I guess Ticketmaster made a pretty smart move there. And number 5, money taken from fans' accounts when the system crashed. Some fans, before they were kicked off the system, were actually waiting for their cards to process just to get their tickets. However, some of these fans would still end up being charged without receiving the ticket, and one unlucky fan actually ended up getting charged 14 times, and she still didn't get a ticket. In a now viral tweet by Twitter user SydneySarah1, that she shared that she waited all day in a virtual queue for tickets after she noticed that she was allegedly charged 14 times despite not even successfully getting the concert tickets. The user took to Twitter to say, waited in a line for Taylor Swift tickets for 8 hours today, and SeatGeek charged me 14 plus times for tickets I wasn't even able to purchase. So now my bank accounts, happened on multiple cards, are frozen. I'm broke, it overdrafted my accounts, and I did not get the tickets. She would then even post bank receipts to back up her post. SeatGeek did eventually end up reaching out to her to provide a refund, so now all she has to do is wait for the money to come back in. 4, the tour announcement. When Taylor Swift announced her tour, it should have been a red flag to all of us, even before we jumped on the internet to purchase tickets. I get it, it's been 4 years since Taylor did her last tour, and with everything going on in the world, it would have been the perfect event to clear your mind and to help you believe that everything's finally getting back to normal. It was said that tickets could be purchased earlier for Capital One credit card holders. It should have been speaking red flags, as pretty much everyone in America owns a Capital One credit card. And there wasn't a limit on how many people could sign up for the pre-sale, meaning you all should have known that there was going to be problems purchasing tickets, with 3.5 million people signing up to get the pre-order ticket code and about 3.5 billion of you trying to get on the platform to buy tickets. Did you really expect the internet not to crash in the process? And number 3, investigation being launched. With many fans being left empty-handed, state officials are now involved in an investigation to see what went wrong. In Tennessee, the Attorney General would even announce that his office is investigating whether Capital One pre-sale through Ticketmaster violated protection laws. Even a United States representative said that Ticketmaster is a monopoly, its merger with Live Nation, and it should have never happened or been approved of in the first place. Even Joe Biden would take to Twitter about the fees and would say, I know hidden junk fees like processing fees on concert tickets are just a pain. They're unfair, deceptive, and add up. That's why last week I called on my administration to crack down on these fees and put the money back into your pockets. Hopefully he can do that because those fees were ridiculous and it should have been illegal. And number 2, Taylor's response. Taylor Swift was just as unhappy about the ticket sale situation as her fans, and she took to her Instagram to post a 3-paragraph response. Taylor would go on to say, well, it goes without saying that I'm extremely protective of my fans. We've been doing this for decades together, and over the years, I brought many elements of my career in-house. I've done this specifically to improve quality of my fans' experience by doing it myself with my team who cares about my fans as I do. It's really difficult for me to trust an outside entity with these relationship loyalties, and it's excruciating for me to watch mistakes happen with no recourse. There are a multitude of reasons why people have such a hard time trying to get tickets, and I'm trying to figure out how this situation can be improved moving forward. I'm not trying to make excuses for anyone because we asked them multiple times if they could handle this kind of demand, and we were assured they could. Taylor then went on to say she was truly amazed that 2.4 million people were able to get tickets during this mess, and she was really upset about the trouble fans went just to try to grab a ticket. And at number 1 today, we have Ticketmaster's apology. After Ticketmaster decided to cancel the general sale for Taylor Swift's upcoming Eras Tour, they would issue an apology to Taylor Swift and her fans with a lengthy explanation. The company would go on to say, first, we want to apologize to Taylor and all of her fans, especially those who had a terrible experience trying to purchase tickets. Next, we feel we owe it to everyone to share some information to help explain what happened. They would then go on to explain their verified fan registration process was intended to help manage high demands of sales and weed out bots. They also explained that 3.5 million people pre-registered and that they only sent out codes to 1.5 million users to join the sale, and that 2 million people were placed on a waiting list. They then went on to say that only 15% of users actually experienced issues getting tickets, and they blamed that on the traffic and staggering number of bot attacks. However, we all know they weren't ready to deal with the high demand of clients, and they honestly need to create a better system because this was not it. At number 10, we have Aaron Carter. It's clear that America doesn't care if you're famous, and it's pretty sad. Aaron Carter is responsible for most of the iconic 2000 hits. However, Aaron's life has exemplified how a sensational teenage pop star can fall from grace into the pits of substance addiction and mental illness, and no one would even notice. Aaron, over the last couple of years, has been suffering from eating disorders, addiction, schizophrenia, multiple personality disorders, and acute anxiety. When Aaron was crying for help, all doctors did was prescribe him with a number of prescription medications, and his brother and sister would even go to file restraining orders against him after he started to spiral out of control. Aaron would even act so manically that he took to his Twitter account to say, if you're reading this, it's too late. All I ask for my family is to leave me alone. This is blood, not love. I will never be around you, and I don't want to be around you. Aaron was crying for help, and we all refused to notice before it was too late. At number 9, we have Demi Lovato. Demi Lovato has admitted her song Skyscraper was a cry for help, and none of us really noticed. When the star was 19 years old, she was admitted to rehab for 3 months and received treatment for an eating disorder and self-punishment. Demi said that the song was really difficult for her to record as it was a cry for help, and it wouldn't be the last time the star would use her music to tell us she needed help. In 2020, Demi Lovato's Grammy performance was no doubt an emotional one, and her track Anyone revealed that the star was crying for help. Demi has even admitted that when she listened to the track back, she couldn't believe how nobody listened to the song and thought, let's get this girl some help. Even though Demi has disclosed that she recorded the song when she thought she was in a good state of mind, she definitely wasn't, and none of us even noticed. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. At number 8, we have Britney Spears. Before we knew how bad Britney was suffering due to her 13 years under the hands of her father's control, none of us even took the time to realize that the star was suffering. From shaving her head to playing dress up with food in a restaurant, the star clearly gave us a ton of hints that she wasn't doing okay. Back in 2020, 2021, when New York Times and FX documentary released Framing Britney, Britney would tell the world how she felt about the documentary by posting a video of herself performing Toxic. The star would then go on to say in a caption, each person has their own story and their own take on people's stories. We all have different, bright, beautiful lives, but remember, no matter what we think about how a person's life is, it's nothing compared to the actual person living behind the lens. A lot of Britney's outbursts when she was younger have shown us that there was something deeply concerning going on with the star, but instead of taking it seriously, people decided to take it as a joke as they thought the star was just off her rocker. At number 7, we have Kanye West. Kanye West's outbursts over the last few years have definitely been a cry for help, and if any of us truly took the time to realize, then he probably wouldn't be in the situation he is today. Kanye all his life has been pretty open when it comes to his bipolar disorder, and regularly on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Kim has been really worried that he's been having episodes before they split. Kanye's outbursts seem to have started when Kim went public with her relationship with Pete Davidson. However, recently, Kanye's outbursts have also caused him to be dropped by his partnerships with Adidas and Gap. It's clear that Kanye needs help, and all of his actions have been a cry for it. From the beginning, we've chosen to make fun of the star and hype him to the point the situation became worse and it even ruined his career. Now, I know it's so hard to be compassionate towards someone being so much hate on the internet, but it's time we pursue Kanye to get the help he needs. At number 6, we have Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan portrayed some pretty outrageous behavior back in the day. From being under the influence to stealing a $2,500 necklace from a jewelry store, having wedding rampages, and even the time she abducted 3 men. The star's actions clearly show she was going through something that none of us could understand. Society forced Lindsay to be a perfect girl, and it's clear she wanted to rebel to show that she wasn't this perfect girl everybody wanted her to be. With a bad relationship stemming from her father and her brain being impaired, it was only time before we saw the star spiral out of control. Lindsay was clearly unhappy with her life and thought the media attention would make her feel good. However, she took things way too far. Luckily for Lindsay, she did seem to get the help she needs, and she seems to be back on track with her career. And number 5, we have Amanda Bynes. Amanda Bynes' bizarre behavior was a desperate cry for help, and even her family noticed. Amanda's bizarre behavior caused major concerns after she had a couple of relapses, driving incidents, and bizarre tweets that involved her huge crush on Drake and distaste for the media. After Amanda's parents found themselves in a powerless situation as they had no legal options to get their daughter help, Amanda would then cut off her parents and move all the way to New York City just to escape her parents so they couldn't keep tabs on her. Now, Amanda has since cleaned up her act and has shown us a glimpse of her life as she's currently training to become a nail technician. The star has also stated she doesn't have any desire to return to acting anytime soon. However, she has said it would be fun to reprise her role as Holly Tyler on the sitcom What I Like About You. However, it is great to see the star is doing well again because she definitely deserves it. At number 4, we have Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen wishes more people would have seen his bizarre behavior back in the day as a cry for help and got him the help he needed. When the actor went on a series of profanity-laced rants, the filming for 2.5 Men would be suspended and Charlie would undergo treatments for addictions following a relapse. Days later, Charlie would be fired from the production as Warner Brothers stated in a legal letter that the star engaged in a dangerous, self-destructive way and appeared to be ill. Charlie has definitely had a lot of time since to reflect on his behavior and regrets everything about it. With 2 divorces, stress, mental breakdowns, the star turned to substances to show us that he was crying for help. And while some companies took notice of this, no one actually did anything to help him, and that's even more concerning. At number 3, we have Lil Peep. In late 2016 and early 2017, Lil Peep seemed to be very depressed and his moods really reflected on his Twitter page. The rapper would go on to tweet things like, "Enjoy me while I'm still here," and Lil Peep might not wake up tomorrow. When Lil Peep passed, it was released that the star was under the influence of many substances that led to his passing. His substance use in battle with depression and anxiety simply caused his life to spiral out of control. While the star was clearly calling out for help, none of us truly took the time to realize before it was too late. Lil Peep's mother has even alleged that Lil Peep told his management team that the tour was making him ill, and they ignored his cries for help and pushed her son onto the stage after stage and city after city, which led to his use of substances along the way. And number 2, we have Juice WRLD. Juice WRLD's music has sent a message to the world, and it's been a sense of release for those struggling under the weight of their own mental illnesses. Juice WRLD has been battling a lot of demons since he was in 6th grade, and the star would try to break free from substances. However, heartbreak, depression, and anxiety seemed to cause him to relapse. It wasn't until he met his girlfriend Allie that he truly began to feel in control of his life. Just days after his passing, fans would notice some pretty chilling details in his music. Where we once believed his music was a confession of his struggles, however, it was actually a cry for help and none of us realized. Especially in his song Wishing Well, the rapper went on to state, "I cry for help, do they listen? I'ma be alone until it's finished." As we all thought the star was getting better, his song Fighting Demons would state that even though he got rich, it never made him happy. However, even while Juice WRLD has been struggling, and his desire to save those who relied on him through his music has definitely lived on, and he's definitely helped a ton of fans get through a tough time. At number 1 today, we have Mac Miller. When Mac Miller passed away just at the age of 26, he left behind a huge confession through his music that detailed his struggle with mental health and substance abuse. Mac broke out into the scene when he was just a teenager. However, his life quickly took a dark turn when he started staying inside, developed insomnia, and became a workaholic. When looking at the breadcrumbs Mac left behind in his songs, you can see that Mac was pretty open about his substance abuse and his lifetime of struggles he faced. In Mac's song Self-Care, Mac raps about how he's been losing his mind and it must be nice to be above the lights. The star was using his music to beg for help, and again, no one paid attention. And it's honestly really sad to see that the industry really refuses to help celebrities when they need it most, and while stars are spiraling out of control, they use it to profit off of them instead.
Number 10, A.B. Allen. Allen is a director who had the opportunity to work with majors in the past, and it turns out that it was a terrible experience and they were well aware of the extracurricular activities that Johnny got up to offset. When the arrest was made public online, super sleuths decided to dig into his past tweets and Instagram posts that had anything to do with Jonathan Majors. A tweet from A.B. Allen from a few months back was shared online, proving that they were alluding to the misdeeds very early on. They posted on their Twitter page that there is a particular actor relatively new to the scene who Twitter has violently fallen head over heels for, who is actually a vicious, cruel, and terrible human being, both professionally and in his personal life, and every new viral thirst tweet about him just drives them crazy. Once the actual details were released, they made another series of tweets apologizing for not saying something sooner and being more to the point. Majors could have been charged sooner, Allen could have been the first to make it known, but that didn't happen. The final tweet was an acknowledgement that people in New York City and at Yale have known about his behavior for years but did absolutely nothing about it. He is a sociopath and a mistreater. That is how everyone virtually speaks about him. Allegations have been attempted in the past, however those who have actually tried to call him out have been met with backlash and negativity up until this point. Number 9, Tim Nikolai. Actor and stage director Tim Nikolai was much more forward with his accusations towards Majors, saying that folks in the theater community were well aware of his behavior but had been shut down every time they tried to say something about it. On top of those claims, in a now deleted tweet, he called him a lot of fun, mean words that I can't say on the internet, and one of them rhymes with bunt. Tim expressed how much of a shame it was that it took so long for John to get reported. Both Allen and Nikolai have made their accounts private and refused to name the alleged victims out of fear for their privacy and why they refused to comment beforehand, but the fact that 2 additional people have come forward with claims is just not good for this cause. It seems like John has been troubled soul for a long time. Depending on how things work out, justice may just finally be served. Number 8, Rolling Stones. It's not just former directors, actors, and colleagues calling him out on his actions. Rolling Stones released a whole expose on Majors, and there was a lot to unpack. According to the report, Majors made members of the costume department cry during the filming of his 2022 movie Devotion, and a source from the production team said that he took some kind of a sick pleasure in it. It got so bad that some of the members of the crew reportedly made claims about it to producers, but Rolling Stones reported that no official complaint was ever actually made. They ultimately decided that saying anything would have derailed the project and caused a ton of people to be out of work. Sadly for those associated in this project, it wasn't the only time that this type of thing took place. Number 7, Magazine Dreams. Magazine Dreams had its world premiere at the Sundance Festival earlier this year and stars Majors as Killian Maddox, a bodybuilder willing to do whatever it takes to become the next big celebrity. It was supposed to be released later this year, but thanks to the SAG-AFTRA strike and, the accusations about Jonathan Majors, it was removed from the release schedule. This is just another project that had apparently been a very toxic set to work on thanks to Jonathan Majors. During production of the movie, Majors reportedly became physically intimidating towards towards a member of the cast and allegedly pushed another person, which led to complaints. Majors' attorney refuted the claims as Majors being a method actor, which can be misconstrued as rudeness sometimes. Yeah, but there's a massive difference between like gaining 30 pounds and being a little rude and, physically shoving your co-stars for no reason. That really should have been one of the first big red flags. Pushing a buddy is one thing, but when you're on a film set, you have to be professional. So just be professional. Don't beat up your co-stars like your buddies on a hockey team. Magazine Dreams will more than likely never see the light of the silver screen, and if it ever does, we will finally know what co-star that is and who they played. So that might not help either. Number 6, Yale. The accusations towards Jonathan Majors date back to his time at Yale when he was still enrolled at Yale's David Geffen School of Drama, where Majors pursued his studies following his bachelor's degree. The actor gained a reputation around the school for his intensity, as described by former peers. Intensity can be a good thing sometimes, like Hugh Jackman is intense and we love that, but Jonathan had reportedly engaged in several physical altercations with others, including incidents during scenes, like just on stage in class. He was throwing real fists left and right, claiming that this was some kind of a method acting type deal, creating an atmosphere where people allegedly just felt in physical danger around him the entire time. After 2 separate incidents involving Jonathan, administrators at the school had supposedly sent an email reminding everyone about rehearsal etiquette and violence. Instead of just calling him out and punishing the actions, the school was like, hey, no, don't do that. Majors' attorney has constantly denied the allegations, but it seems to be from the beginning that his reputation has not been the greatest. Number 5, ex-partners. While there's been multiple people casting blame on Jonathan, one red flag is definitely the lack of people coming to his defense, namely his exes. Rolling Stone said that in at least 2 previous relationships, there were claims of his inappropriate actions, and a friend of one of his ex-girlfriends said that he became physical with her while they were dating. The only one who voiced any kind of support for him was his girlfriend from his teenage years, who described him as sweet, kind, and gentle. Of those who stated their concerns, one described their time together as emotional whiplash. Jonathan's attorney again denies everything, which I'm like 99% sure is just on the first page of whatever book they hand out at law school. Just deny, deny, deny. It's just 100 pages that say deny. There is an alarming number of people who can confirm the accusations being brought up against him, so it's just funny that his lawyer keeps popping up being like, yeah, that didn't happen. They saw it happen. Number 4, canceled movies. Other than his high school girlfriend, no one has actually come forward in support of Majors in really any way, giving us flashbacks to the Johnny and Amber trial where there was just a whole bunch of people there to support Johnny Depp and like 5 people to support Amber Heard. Considering the court case taking place at this very moment and the allegations surrounding it, it should come as no shock that most movies with his name attached to them have been canceled or put on pause, excluding any Marvel properties, because hey, Marvel's got a Marvel, y'all, make that money. So many of his films from this year alone were dismissed. In particular, The Man in My Basement was set to star Majors, as well as have him on as an executive producer before he was dismissed due to his allegations. The adaptations of the Walter Mosley novel is still looking for its next Charles Blakely, the character Majors was supposed to play. Considering the title of that movie, not starring it's probably a good idea. They're in court just like, I'm sorry, the man in your what? Number 3, the Army. Majors may be a major player on the big screen, but it's not just movies that he's been removed from. The Texas Rangers and the United States Army dropped him as the face of their ads. Majors was the focal point of 2 recruitment ads for the Army, and in comments afterwards referred to the fact that while he is innocent until proven guilty, they are going to remove him until an investigation had been completed. In April this year, the Rangers, who play close to Dallas where Jonathan spent a lot of time growing up, were set to release a promotional video starring him, but announced that it wouldn't be shown and refused to comment on why. I guess not commenting is supposed to make it look like it had nothing to do with the allegations, but it does the exact opposite. Number 2, agency drop. After all the cancellations and hardships, getting casted in further movies and ad campaigns will probably be a little bit tricky for Majors, as he was just dropped by his talent management agency at the beginning of all these allegations. According to a report from Variety in April, it was revealed that on top of leaving projects and studios in the dust, he had also parted ways from his former public relations manager, the Lead Company. According to Variety, they state that a source with knowledge of the PR company confirmed that the actor was removed as a client. No no shock there. That was then later solidified by the hundreds of news articles that were released. Put it this way, if your PR company doesn't want anything to do with you, it either means that you're terrible at your job or they just don't think they can help you anymore. Either way, not a great position. Number 1, Marvel. Jonathan Majors is currently the man behind the purple cape of Kang the Conqueror in the MCU. Kang was written as a very important figure in the Marvel Cinematic Universe because he was in Ant-Man Quantumania as the main bad guy, only he was just acting as a variant of the real antagonist. It's all a little bit fuzzy, but that might not be a problem anymore. Including He Who Remains, a Kang variant from Loki who once again acted as a major part of the MCU, and unfortunately for Majors, his ex came forward, alleged that he was physically violent towards her while they were together, and since March, Majors and his team have been adamant that the situation was blown out of proportions. There's nothing to be upset about. In fact, in June, Majors filed his own cross-complaint accusing his accuser. Prosecutors refuted the claims and told him that there were no plans to prosecute Grace Jabari, who was the woman who accused him, and Majors was dropped from everything. His role on TVs were canceled, and this is a spoiler alert if you haven't seen the end of Loki Season 2, okay? Go away. The series ended with Kang no longer being He Who Remains, and it's so far unclear as to what actually happens next. This might be Marvel's way to just write him out of their series entirely and bring someone else, because there have been rumors his role in the MCU will be replaced by Doctor Doom. So let's hope that goes through and that this whole trial thing works out for someone.